Oh, welcome to the Two Big Guys radio talk show between country music artist Glenn Cummings and Pastor Kenneth Farnsworth. Cutting Edge Radio. Good morning on this beautiful Saturday. Pastor, it is cold outside. I mean, a lot of my friends up north are dealing with blistering cold weather. It's right after New Year's here, and unfortunately for them, I mean, they're in weather. I mean, I've got a good friend of mine that is in Chicago, is 50 degrees below wind chill, which is just crazy. And you and I are wearing like little tiny, sweaters here. Not really sweaters, but keeping a little warm. I mean, it's 40-something degrees outside, and that's cold for us. I can imagine 40 below.
Yeah, 40, 50 below wind chill factors are horrible.
I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, that's crazy. So
been there, did that. Glad I live in Florida. Hey, just a mention here, if you want to take a look at our Facebook page, we're at facebook.com/2 big guys. Or also you can go to godsoloved.org. Both places you can make comments on the shows and also hook into the shows.
And, something we like to do, which is something we've done here for the last few shows, is, if you're not familiar with the show, Pastor, as well as myself, we call ourselves the Two Big Guys because we're big. I mean, I'm 6'4", about 260, and Pastor is 7'4", about 480 pounds. Just kidding, Pastor. Did you get that? You didn't get that, did you?
Hey, I was close to 480 at one time.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're trying to exploit my obesity.
But no, the Two Big Guys, and what's fun about the show is we just kind of kid with each other. We joke back and forth. We've known each other for a number of years, and I try to get to church on Sundays, and Pastor always does good sermons and prepares and plans, and then we became friends. And I'll tell you, the funny thing was, at one of my shows one time, one of the songs had a curse word in it, and it kind of slid out there. I can't remember what song it was, but next thing I know, I see Pastor standing out there in the crowd, and he just smiles and waves at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just cursed in front of a pastor. And I had no idea he was there, and it's before I really knew who he was. And I've had judgmental pastors in the past that would roll their eyes at me and say things, or who knows. I just was concerned that he was out there. And long story short, we became buddies, and we talk about all kinds of things. Normal things in life that we deal with every day with our families, with our kids. We talk about, this last segment was about homosexuality and some of the myths there, and, what is related in the Bible to it and what is not, and all the controversy that was going on with Phil Robertson with Duck Dynasty. And, we try to talk about a lot of different issues, and most of the issues are brought up to us from you guys, from the fans, from people that are out there that listen to our show. And it's nice to be able to ask a pastor the tough questions that most people aren't willing to ask, and that's kind of what this show is all about. And but Pastor, before we get into anything real serious, let's talk about how you at your age and phallus and thinking you can always do everything. Okay. At one point in time, there was some roofing work that you did, which on my YouTube channel, I posted a video of you actually as big as you are with your he has couple issues with his legs. You
actually put it on our Two Big Guys Facebook
I did,
page.
Okay, on the Two Big Guys Facebook page, where you actually were climbing up on a roof to do your own roof work. And it's because you did it when you were, 15 or 16 years old. Now you're much older than that. And, not recently, I get a phone call from Pastor. And usually when it's a phone call, it's, Glenn, here's what I'm doing. And sometimes I'll agree to help you, or I'll be like, yeah, I'll help you hang some sheetrock, or yeah, I'll help you do some stuff on the roof. This time it was a simple window. Okay. And I just kind of laughed. You're like, Glenn, yeah, the window broke. The wind was blowing through the house. We kept all the windows open, and I don't want to pay $130 to have somebody come put this new window in. And my recommendation was, Pastor, look, just don't deal with it. I've got a guy that is a 90-year-old guy. He's not 90, he's probably 70 something. But this guy's a window guy, and I have this small restoration business, and I'll call him up and he'll fix the window in 10 minutes and he's out of there, but he charges a pretty penny for that. But Pastor, of course, trying to save money, wants to do everything on his own, and he thinks he can do everything on his own, just like he thinks he's Mr. Big Number One, which it's actually me. But he's Mr. Pastor Number One, Mr. Big Pastor Number One. So, but tell us a little bit about this window that you tried to fix the other day, and how your sinuses and your congestion is tenfold now because you were blowing, what were you doing, blowing dust and dirt and things all over?
Drywall dust all
There
over
you
the
go.
place, and taking the old window out with mildew and mold and everything else. This morning I was so asthmatic, I'm glad we didn't record at 9 o'clock, or you wouldn't have known who I was. But I figure I'm probably saving from $200 to $350 by just simply cutting the window out and putting it in myself. It's in, by the way. It just needs to be finished out.
But it's not simple. Nothing simple as you figured out.
Actually, it was pretty simple.
Oh, okay. But you're getting it done. You're getting it fixed.
Lot more simple than doing the roof, which I have more experience at, actually.
Okay.
My father had a roofing business.
So are you driving the family nuts? I mean, are the girls, is your wife, whenever you start to do projects around the house, they're always concerned, Glenn, I get the phone call, he's up on the ladder again.
No ladders.
Or, Glenn, he's doing this, and I have to run over and,
I didn't have to worry about my crippled leg or anything, because this was waist-high work. So I could just reach in, reach out, and take the old out, put the new in. And
now the windowsill, why don't you tell everybody about the windowsill? Basically, your wife, of course, has plants on the windowsill, and whenever she puts water in the plants, they always leak over to the windowsill, so it kind of...
Yeah, there's some damage, water damage.
Yeah.
That she claims it wasn't her, but I've been watching it for a while. But I'm debating right now whether I'm going to go back and finish that drywall, because I do have drywall in the garage. Or
from the last few jobs we did together.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm going to go ahead and call my friend who's going to stucco that ceiling that we finished.
Oh, so you do have someone helping you with that. Okay.
Yeah, I just haven't had him come over yet. And then I was thinking of him just finish that drywall around there, because he won't charge me much.
Oh, so. Not like me. I charge an arm and a leg. Yeah. So $100 an hour for sure.
We got to get her done. But brand new window in there, better window that was in there, and it looks beautiful.
Well, let's get to business here, Pastor. Let's, we always talk about some things that are going on in the news, and let's
something came on last night, and we've been dealing with it in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. In fact, my friend Matt Harrison, who is the president of our synod, former classmate of mine, he actually testified before Congress over this issue. And I was watching last night trying to think of what we might do today, and I saw these little nuns, tiny little nuns, little sisters of the poor they're called, sweethearts, just absolute sweethearts. And what they do is they take care of poor people when they get old.
Okay.
And all the way to their deathbeds.
Wow.
And they actually take care of, across the country, over 13,000 poor men and women
oh my goodness,
that are elderly. Now, they're in trouble right now, though, with the so-called Obamacare. And they're in trouble because Eric Holder is pressing and against them, because they have not been given a what my church body's been given. We've been given I forget what they call it, where you're an exemption.
Okay.
So they have been given an exemption. So what they will give them an exemption, but not the way we got ours. But they have to sign a paper that says we will give permission that contraceptive care, sterilization care, and abortion care will be taken care of by someone else. They don't want to sign that paper because they don't believe in those things. We come right in with them on the abortion issue.
Now, how does that though relate to the them taking care of older folks? I mean,
they have employees.
Okay.
They're taking care of 13,000 people. They have employees, and they provide health care.
Okay, gotcha.
Right, like
Gotcha.
we do at our church for our school and church workers.
Mm-hmm.
And what Obamacare has wanted to do is provide abortions, contraceptive care, and sterilization. And we've already been through these battles in Congress. In fact, Cardinal Mooney and Matt Harrison. Matt Harrison wrote up sort of a manifesto, and a bunch of church leaders signed it. Cardinal Mooney was one of the first ones to sign it, and basically protecting people who don't believe that abortion is proper, and in the case of these nuns, more than that, to not, because of religious reasons, force them into paying for insurance that provides those things. So this is the issue that's been here for these ladies. They didn't get covered as a church body, but they are a group of sisters known as the Little Sisters of the Poor. They do everything by what they call begging, or they prefer to call it collecting, and that's how they get all their money.
Wow.
Sweet little ladies, and they're there when people, poor people who have no family, are on their deathbeds. They're there singing to them and making sure they're comfortable.
People don't realize that, because in my business, I do insurance, life insurance, estate planning, things like that. That when someone's older, I have my mother-in-law. She's, just turned 80 this year, and she's very likes to do things on her own. But sometimes she gets herself hurt. Those types of things can happen. So she's here. She lives with us here at the house, and it's a blessing to have her here, and we can make sure she's doing all the right things and not getting herself hurt or anything. But when you start to get older, I have a lot of clients that are in assisted living, long-term care facilities, and to take care of those folks is a very, very difficult job. I mean, it's a full-time job. One of my clients, his dad is going back and forth between a hospital and a nursing home because he needs to be restrained. He actually, at certain times, gets really mad and will swing on the nurses. I mean, literally. And that the nursing home just simply calls an ambulance. They come out, they strap him to a gurney and bring him back to the hospital and medicate him. And so I mean, it's not an easy thing to deal with.
No, not at all.
I feel for these nuns. My mom was a nun. I don't know if I told you that, but
right.
My mom was a nun in the convent as well. So,
well, the difficulty that is, and we have family members in that deal with those issues with insurance, with family around. Mary's sister Bernard had this to say: "Says the elderly at risk with no one to speak up for them, no one to stand up and express to the world and show the world that these people are still valuable." They had a beautiful little clip I watched of what they do, and it's just phenomenal. But they deal with people that have no money, and really two issues come up here for us as Christians. One issue is, should we support a insurance program, a health insurance program that provides abortions? And of course, the Affordable Care Act provides for abortions. And so,
see, I did not know that. I was not aware of that at all.
Yeah, very much so. In fact, my friend Matt Harrison, president of Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, a long time ago, has been in Congress testifying before Congress over these issues. Because we have health care provided through Concordia plans, which is our church body's plan. And we do not believe in having abortions. And or today it's not specifically abortions, but you can take a pill that causes an abortion, the morning after pill, those kinds of things. So they look at this as providing health care. We look at it as murder. In fact, it really takes us to the fifth commandment: you shall not murder. We should fear and love God so that we do not harm our neighbor in his body, but help and support him in every physical need. When we look specifically at unborn persons, we believe that these unborn persons are there, and is life that God has provided.
So that means within the womb, once they're
Oh, yeah.
created, they are a being,
Right.
basically, in the word of the Bible, from what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
In Jeremiah 1:5, it says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This is where we're coming from in the sanctity of life as Christians. Now, in addition to that, we also remember as Christmas, we're still in the Christmas season until Sunday. It will be the 12th day of Christmas, and Epiphany is Monday. But what happened when Mary was there announcing that she was pregnant with Jesus? Elizabeth was there, and in the womb, John leaped for joy at the announcement, the one that he would be preparing the way for, had been conceived. And so we see, even in the Bible, something like that, there is life there. And so we see that life as being valuable at the time of conception. We talked a little bit about this when we had Pastor Yoakum here and talking about infertility and the issues that come up there.
Mm-hmm.
So what these ladies are saying, and what we have talked about with Congress, through our church body, and along with the Catholics and other more conservative church bodies, is that as a matter of conscience, we cannot be part of anything that allows people to get abortions. So these ladies here are facing really losing their whole ministry, because they will not sign the waiver, which would take the responsibility to someone else, but it also says that they are giving the responsibility for abortions and several other procedures to someone else. And they won't sign that as a matter of conscience. And we would be in the same situation. We would not do it as a matter of conscience. But by not doing that, they can be fined $100 a day per employee. So the good news is a stay has been ordered. In fact, Eric Holder has to respond by noon today, which already took place. And they're not being forced to do anything. I don't know if anything has come up since then. I've been near a TV. But the court system on most of these cases, 90% of these cases, is backing up those who believe that abortion is wrong. And so that commandment, "you shall not murder," is specific to this issue here. God is the giver of life. In fact, he died to give us life beyond this world. We see the sanctity of life as something important for us as Christians. And we don't take things like abortion lightly.
Here's the other thing, that I think where it also runs into an issue is, when you know that you can, a lot of younger girls or kids use that as their form of birth control. If they know that they can have sex whenever they want, unprotected, which is wrong, of course, anyway, okay, and bad for your health, especially if you're young and you're having unprotected sex. Not only getting pregnant, but diseases, those types of things. If okay, hey, my health coverage will cover me for an abortion, I can just run down and take care of it. That is definitely, in my opinion, that's not a good thing if you're using it for that. But a lot of times they relate it to, a girl that had been raped, or a girl that had been abused, or not, not having sex that was wanted sex. So they kind of always relate it back to that as a reason why.
Glenn, my daughters brought this up in the car one day.
Okay.
And they said, "Dad, if I was raped, I would have the baby because it's still life."
Mm-hmm.
And I was really impressed by that. And here's the problem. In this day and age, our sexual desires are more important than a life. And
wow, that's a serious statement right there. That's really.
And there are health issues where a decision could be made, whether it's the health of the mother or the health of the child. You know, I know people who have died having babies. But in most cases, what we see here is irresponsibility.
Yeah, yeah.
And the new religion of sex today is more important. How I feel, how I take care of my feelings, all of that usurps the authority of the Holy Scriptures or even a good conscience. I mean, a good conscience, if you see how a child is formed in the womb, it's such a beautiful thing. We talked about the ultrasounds our wives have had, and I know when we had our last child, they did a very, very detailed ultrasound where they can go look into the chambers of the heart.
Wow.
Just a miracle that those babies, so small, and everything that goes on there, it's such a beautiful thing in its life. And
the chances, and here's the thing, who we are as a being on this earth, what, millions of sperm to create for one of those sperms to I mean, the chances of us even being conceived is like winning the lottery, literally.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's like it is something that is special. It's something that was a creation, and but also, like you said, I do feel for the women that can't get pregnant, or like you said, Pastor Yoakum, him and his wife for years had tried to conceive a child and were unable to do it, and they went a different route there. But I think it's there's so many things that are going on in this country right now that are reducing the reality of certain things, goods and bads. Like the situation with the with the marijuana being legalized in
Right.
Colorado, and I know friends in high school that used marijuana, and they're probably still using it today. They've done nothing with their lives. They're lazy. They lay around.
Diminishes the mind.
It reduces oxygen to the brain, those types of things. There are other drugs that are worse. Alcohol is definitely worse than marijuana because, it really impairs the ability for people to do things. There's so many drugs, there's so many things. It just seems like everything nowadays, these different groups, if you just have even a small group of people that will get together to fight a certain subject, regarding gays and lesbians and our rights and those different types of things, it seems like these groups are getting through now. And a lot of things that are against the Bible or against the Word, they're now justifying it, somehow,
What we live in is a culture that decides things on how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not with their minds. There's no cognitive thinking going on here. There's no leave the Bible out of it. There's no thinking. I can remember when I got down here and I saw, a sign on the back of a lady's car on Save the Turtle Eggs, and then on the other side of the car she has pro-choice.
Wow.
What is a turtle egg? It's an embryo of a turtle.
Mm-hmm.
And the sanctity of life of that turtle was more important than the sanctity of life of a human being, which for us as Christians is a little different than a turtle because it has a soul,
mm-hmm.
and Jesus died for that soul. And there's the problem today is the source and authority of what people believe or what they do has to do with their emotions and their feelings. Very little has to do with thinking things out.
There was, I can't remember what the movie was, but it was, years ago. And there's been multiple movies like this, science fiction type of movies where they're going to create a robot or create a being that is able to do everything we can do. And then that being actually at some point in time will take over us. And here's the thing, okay? I watched on the news the other night, there was a robot, that this gentleman has created. And this thing literally has the way it can grip something. Because a lot of these robots are for doing cars and building cars, and they're picking up large pieces of metal. But this one has like a certain grip where it can grab an egg and pick up this egg and move it from place to place. Literally, this guy has created these robots that he says it clear as day. He goes, okay, this robot cost us, $4,000 a year in electricity. A human being costs us $30,000 a year with insurance and everything else. The robot doesn't complain. The robot doesn't get hurt. The robot does the work 10 times faster than a normal human being does. Okay, and he goes, the intellectualness of this robot, and they're doing some other experiments with this thing. It's just, I think that, a lot of those things, the embryos, the stem cell research, I mean, there's some good, exciting things going on out there that can help us with our health. But then there's a lot of things that are kind of against, a belief. And it seems like everyone is going against the Bible. Everyone's going against any certain belief. And it seems like Christians are always battling against these things. And it seems like we're losing, Pastor. We're losing this battle. A lot of Christians are losing this battle because it's our belief. It's our belief in the Bible. And not everybody has to believe the Bible. Not everybody wants to feel like, you, pastor, are telling me what I'm doing is wrong, and how do you dare tell me that I can't have an abortion if I don't want to? And your thing is, hey, look, this is what it says in the Bible. It's not me. You're not being a judge to anyone that's listening to the show today. You're just simply saying, hey, this is what it states in the Bible. Okay, this is the right and the wrong things if you want to follow and believe that there is a higher power, and there, this is in the Bible. You're just explaining that to people.
Right.
But people sometimes don't want to be smacked on the arm. Hey, you're doing something wrong, or you're sinning. It seems like we're always in a battle here.
You bring up two issues there. One I'd like to deal with in another show.
Okay.
But were you in church New Year's Eve when I did the sermon that actually answered your question?
I had a concert.
Okay.
I was rocking the world.
And in fact, I even did a sermon the Sunday before that that answered that question about, are we losing? Were you in church that Sunday?
I was on that Sunday, yeah. I was in that Sunday, yeah.
You were there?
Yeah. It was a full house. It was a full house, too.
Yeah. Witness, don't whine. Okay. Well, basically, I want to talk about that because I think there's a lot of that out there today. We just look at everything that happened this last year. I made a list of it New Year's Eve in the sermon. The shootings in the schools, the Phil Robertson thing with the homosexuality, just the numerous things going on. And what do we feel like as Christians? Well, the victory was already won 2,000 years ago on the cross. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll deal with that in another show. There's one other issue we need to talk about in regards to these nuns. Yes, as Christians, we believe abortion is bad, and we know there are people that don't want to talk about that with us and don't want us to preach to them. But on the other hand is, don't make us do something that's against our conscience. Now, what does this bring us to? It brings us to a part of the catechism that Luther highlights, especially as he looks through the scriptures, called the table of duties. What is our responsibility as citizens, as Christian citizens, to the government? What are these ladies' responsibility to the government that wants them to do something against their conscience? Now, are we bound to the government as Christians? What do you think?
I mean, people are trying to, change everything in the government. Anything that has to do with Christianity or belief in God. The foundation. A lot of our government was founded on belief in God and belief in the right and the wrong things. And God we trust. I mean, right?
Well, there's a general belief in God. Our founding fathers were not general. There was a couple of them, but most of them were not Christians. They were deists, but they understood that people believed in a higher being. Okay, we'll give them that. But government itself, what is government there to do for you? I mean, let's go back to Jesus. He was asked about government because what did the Jews not like? They didn't like that the Romans were governing them in Jerusalem. They wanted to get rid of the Romans, and they thought Jesus might be the one to do it. And he was asked one day about their authority. And he says, give me a coin. Whose picture's on this coin? Caesar. Render unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So the authority of government is given by God. Okay? It doesn't mean we have a Christian government or a non-Christian government. all government, all the authority of any government is given by God to keep the general safety of everyone. Okay?
Interesting.
You know, when we go downtown and there's police officers everywhere, they're there for your protection. The government provides that. Now, what about in this case? We see, in fact, let me read a little something from the table of duties. It says, under of citizens, it is necessary to submit to the authorities not only because of possible punishment, but also because of conscience. This is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants who give their full time in governing. Give everyone what you owe him. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. And the last part is from Romans 13:5-7. So there is a sense that God wants us to obey the authority of the government. But when we look at what's going on with these nuns, the sisters, the little sisters of the poor, they're doing wonderful benevolent work. They're doing things a lot of us want nothing to do with. I see so many times that when people's loved ones are dying, they don't want to be around. They disappear. They're not there with them. They don't engage with them. These people, many of them are so poor they can't afford anything. These ladies are taking care of them, but they have employees. They are not going to go against their conscience and give permission for someone else to take care of contraception, abortion, sterilization when they don't believe in it.
Wow.
So what can they do? I think what they can do is what they're doing right now. They have someone representing them, and they're fighting it in court.
Wow.
You know, this is against what I believe. We have an understanding of the sanctity of life. This is against my beliefs as a Christian, and we can't sign this. And they're fighting being punished for signing it because this would bankrupt them. You know, they get everything from begging already. If they have to pay their employees the fines for their employees by not signing the paper, it's $100 per employee per day. It would eat them up quickly. So there are times when we need to go against our government. Like you said, there's a list of things you gave of where people are trying to change the government where it affects us directly as Christians and goes against our beliefs. Now, when those things come up, we need to take appropriate action. And the action that's going on right now, I think, is appropriate for them. They're actually winning. I don't know if what's changed today, because it was supposed to be, the government was supposed to respond at noon today. The other thing, too, Glenn, in regards to this here, I have just contacted a friend of mine, Richard Thompson. Richard Thompson was the prosecuting attorney who originally had to deal with Jack Kevorkian, Dr. Death, who, by the way, was not trying to help people kill themselves who were terminally ill, just people who had problems. And Richard,
there were some terminally ill though too, but the majority were not.
Weren't. Well, there was a lot of lies told too.
Yeah.
Richard's a personal friend of mine. Okay. And the lawyer for Jack Kevorkian would lie. In fact, a famous cable show did a special on Dr. Death, Jack Kevorkian. And
is he still in jail?
He's dead. He just
died.
Dead.
Okay.
He died recently, but he was in jail. My friend lost his prosecuting attorney position for Oakland County because he was going to prosecute Jack Kevorkian. The guy who beat him said he wouldn't do it, and he ended up having to do it and put him in jail.
Wow.
And he won based on that issue of I'm not going to prosecute Jack Kevorkian. Ended up having to do it anyways. But anyways, what my friend has done now, he works for the Thomas More Law Group, and which is a nonprofit that Tom Monahan put together. Tom Monahan owns Domino's Pizza.
Okay.
Very devout Catholic, would agree with us on the issue we're talking about now. And in fact, they have had to go to the courts. They just want to stay in the courts over his nonprofits that he doesn't want to do the same thing for.
Wow.
So I'd like to try to get Richard Thompson on here to interview with us. I've asked him to do it and actually get him on this show here and talk about this issue some more and how he deals with the government, I think, in a proper way. He's in the Supreme Court. He does all kinds of stuff, arguing for people who are Christians that are being persecuted, or in issues like this. He is working as the president of the Thomas More Group, started by Tom Monahan. So there is ways of us dealing with the government. The government is put there by God for our safety, but when we see things like this, certainly we need to stand up to them.
Well, Pastor, thanks again for taking your time today to talk with me and to talk with everyone out there that has, a lot of these questions and things we're discussing are from you guys out there. They're from people that listen to the show, and we really appreciate it. Please give us more comments, more things to discuss, more questions and answers, and we'll keep this going. Go ahead, Pastor, and tell them one more time the Facebook page there.
Well, you can go to facebook.com/2bigguys and also to godsoloved.org. You can make comments on both places. And we'd also like to thank the UAC Lutherans. They have put us on their media page with all the big Lutheran podcasts out there. They placed us on their media page this week.
That's great. That's great.
So we get more exposure, and we'd like to thank them for including us amongst the other big guys.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and have a blessed week coming up for yourselves. Thank you.